We all love a great story. Since ancient times, storytelling has been part of human nature, as we sat around campfires telling tales of a long time ago. As times pass, stories have become part of our everyday lives. They're in the adverts we see, the movies we watch, the songs we listen to, and even the short reels we scroll through. They make us feel, think, and imagine something deep within, and in this process, we are persuaded to take action. Before we continue with this video, please make sure to subscribe to this channel so we can continue to feed you nuggets of information on brain, behavior, and business. So, what is exactly happening in our brain when we hear a good story? According to MRI scans, countless areas of the brain are activated when we are listening to a good narrative, from language processing to other neural circuits. In one study, they found that the networks involved in processing emotions and movements were activated. This became particularly true when we're listening to the emotional parts of a story. When we say a good story helps us become immersed, this may literally be the case with our brain, as according to Yuri Hassan, a professor of psychology and neuroscience at Princeton University, our brainwaves actually begin to synchronize with those of the great storyteller. In his study, Hassan and his team discovered that when getting two people together, one telling the story and the other listening, the greater the listener's comprehension to the story, the closer the two people's brainwave patterns became. In regards to the synchrony that the brain does to listening to a compelling story, Hassan explains, "It's as though I'm trying to make your brain similar to mine in areas that really capture the meaning, the situation, the schema, and the context of the world." It's not only listening that taps into this part of our brain. When we read, the areas of the brain involved in prediction are also activated as we try to imagine ourselves in the character's shoes or attempt to guess what will happen next. This act of imagination and decoding of what's next helps us look at things from a different lens, which inevitably can help to shift our beliefs, behaviors, and eventually core identity. This can happen even more so when we think about the given story and talk about it with others, as this act of sharing helps to reinforce it into memory. As time passes, this has the potential to drive deeper change in attitudes as well. Stories can help influence behaviors so much so that it may even elicit you to take action in things that you would otherwise not take from simply hearing facts, numbers, and general information. Melanie Green, a communication professor at the University of Buffalo, speaks about how anecdotes can make health advice more personable and impactful, as noted from her studies on the power of narrative. Think about it. When you hear about stories of someone familiar that has taken action on a given thing, you may feel more likely to do and stick with that action yourself. This is why we may feel more motivated to do something similar to what celebrities and influencers are suggesting. Despite not knowing them directly, these parasocial relationships we have with these celebrities and influencers make them familiar and in turn give us a sense of trust to do what they say. When we tell someone what to do or speak in a way that sounds like a command, even if it's a well-intended advice, our messages aren't well received. Yet, when you tell a story about a time you too struggled through the pain of a breakup or attempted to quit cigarettes, for example, the information they're trying to relay can be much more persuasive and be viewed as personal truth instead of pointless lecturing. In the end, the power of storytelling is extremely important and relevant for business as well. Studies have shown that character-driven stories that contain emotional content lead to a better understanding of the key points of a message. Not only does it help to make the message more memorable, it also solidifies motivation to act. In fact, character-driven stories are so powerful that research has shown that they cause oxytocin synthesis, which is important to note as oxytocin itself can be linked to lowering stress and anxiety, regulating emotional responses, and encouraging positive behaviors like trust, empathy, and bonding. Oxytocin, after all, is closely linked to those warm feelings you have when falling in love. Even within an organization, stories help to solidify purpose, giving employees and everyone else involved a sense of transcendental purpose. This is why many people find a company's greater mission so important, sometimes even more so than just compensation alone. In order to motivate a person to take action through a story, you need to tell the story right. Great stories, after all, sustain attention. By creating tension and emotion, you are likely to get the listener, reader, or watcher to share the emotions of the character within, as we talked about earlier, creating a sense of synchrony. Beyond that, a great story needs to have the following characteristics. People are visual creatures. If the medium is not video, make sure that whatever story you're telling can easily be imagined. People synchronize better the closer they get to finding themselves in the story themselves. Brain studies have shown that vivid imagery lights up the brain as if the listener or reader were performing those same actions themselves. Secondly, make the story understandable. A story needs to be understood. If it's too complex or deep, it may go over their head and all hopes to relate are out the window. Persuasive storytelling, after all, needs to be relatable to some degree. Thirdly, think of context and content. No matter how great a story may be, in the wrong context, it won't do much. Think about the story's content and how it lends itself to the greater context of the audience you're speaking to. What are they thinking? How are they feeling? Where are they from? Finally, make sure to deliver. Just like any joke, how a story is told can make or break it. Pacing, effective use of language, and good structure are the markers of great delivery. With these tips on how to become a more better persuasive storyteller, you can apply them and improve in ways beyond just interpersonal communication, but also professional relationships as well. So before you go out and conquer the world, make sure to think to yourself how you can be a better storyteller. As just like the times I mentioned earlier in this video where we sat around the campfire, storytelling at the end of the day is all innately part of us. So before you go out and conquer the world, use these tips on persuasive storytelling to improve not only your interpersonal communication, but also your professional relationships as well. Learning how to become a better storyteller is just one way on how to become a better human. As at the end of the day, just like how I mentioned earlier about going around the campfire since ancient times, storytelling is something that is inherently part of being better human. If you want to learn more about pleasure and pain in the brain, watch the video on the left and make sure to subscribe to this channel to help us find the goal in mind.